And did you start? You didn't start without me. Are you on the second one?
Um, actually, yeah. Well, I had.
It's not. Who's counting? You're up. What?
Well, actually, Richard is. He's just going out. Like, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Look, good to see you again.
It is good to see you. Yeah. No, I was thinking of you when I was in Ireland. I was sort of wanting to meet up. I thought it'd be quite nice to meet up. But anyway.
Yeah. When were you in Ireland?
A couple of weeks ago. Just any excuse. But like when you're there, you sort of remember how far it is to Dublin. It's halfway across the world, isn't it? So.
It's halfway across the world. It's not.
It's different. It's different in the north.
Oh, in the north is sure. But I still haven't been to Belfast, which is just terrible. Like.
No, it's a dedicated trip, isn't it? It's miles away.
It is, yeah. Someday, like.
Yeah, you need a real reason, like.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Fuck's sake, yeah. I was back. I was at that festival.
Oh, how did it go then? Did you stay in a tent or not? Was it a wash festival or?
I stayed in a tent, yeah, and for 3 days. And the front of it was a 6-man tent, and the front of the tent collapsed. So, plus I was kind of stoned.
Right.
So then it was like 2:00 in the morning, and it was lashing rain. I mean, fucking thundering down. The front of the tent coming down, and I'm facing in to try to hold up the tent while the two other people had these really snug blackout blind section of the tent.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
It was
not
grand,
good.
like I had the fear, so the tent was actually a distraction from the fear.
Right, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, it was grand, yeah. But then day 2 and day 3, you kind of I was going to say, when I was walking around the festival, most of the time I was walking around going, so is everybody here pretending? That's what I was walking around going, okay, everybody's pretending then. Everybody already knows, but they're pretending. Nobody's.
Oh, are you getting a visual of that when you're in that space? Is it visual as well?
Or? Oh, it was kind of just a sensory kind of thing going. If everybody knows, then are they just not talking about it?
No, I get there. I get that. I've had that experience of that, but for me it was very visual, and yeah.
Go on. So what was the visual?
The visual was they all know they're basically they all know they're acting.
Yeah.
It's, why are you doing it then? That's creeping me out. But that was yeah, in extreme bliss states, sometimes even just looking, you can just see that they know what's going on, but it's an information somehow in the, I don't know, somehow the face somehow.
Yeah, everybody knows this. Everybody knows it, and they're just pretending. That's what I was walking around going, so do you know something that I don't like? Or what's going on?
But if you're defaulting into that, that's really weird, you know.
I don't think I'm defaulting into it. All I'm describing is a scenario of the elephant in the room is this, and
okay.
We're not talking about it. That's all. That's never occurred to me before, ever. And it was just something that I was walking around going, sorry, am I missing? Maybe. And everything seems to be it.
Yep. Okay.
I'm gone straight into kind of a talk here, I suppose, but I'm just describing a scenario of walking around the festival where I just couldn't get my head around how I couldn't. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying there. It's a bit of blah blah now that I'm talking about.
I remember the first time seeing when I was on a tube train and just looking around and seeing that everybody was awake, and that really freaked me out. I thought like everybody's awake, but why are they pretending? And then suddenly just seeing all these feels, and it's very, very subtle, but like I didn't even know what I meant by that, but I did by just looking at it, you know. And so yeah, just all this, it's really hard to explain that kind of information or whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's not like, it's not important, and it's not like something to say on the back of it. It's more just all the kind of stories about everything that's happening. I was kind of going, okay, so are you definitely just pretending about this, or is the, which sounds doesn't sound very emotive, because I don't actually really, I probably wouldn't react like that in that scenario. But my sense was of, and sense is of, the elephant in the room is this, what's happening, and nobody's talking about it. Now, maybe before, sometimes that wouldn't have occurred to me as I wouldn't have given a shit about it, and I may not give a shit about it tomorrow. That was a theme of the festival, and a theme since the festival. And talking to anybody and everybody, it's kind of like, okay, this is.
So it's almost like ongoing then. That's
But it
really
is,
weird.
except when I'm doing the lawns, or I'm making a sandwich. It is and it isn't. You know, it's not. It's more just all the ideas of. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying, but it just, you kind of said something there about the dart, and or the being on the train, and it was, everybody is awake. Everybody is awake. Everything is awakeness. This is, and then I did have these visuals of everything leads to this. Why am I getting straight into this? Why am I talking about this?
Because we did before.
Yeah, we're straight into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different than sort of like projecting. You know, when you're like looking at someone and you're thinking, you know, they're angry or they're this or they're that. I've almost given up on that. You know.
No. Yeah, I don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of goes, and it's replaced with this different kind of, I don't know, seeing or seeing the sleepwalking. That's another one. I think quite a few people get that, where you see the caught up in the mindness stuff, and it can be really,
Yeah.
really disturbing as well.
Yeah. What do you mean? It can be disturbing for you? Disturbing for who? For them?
It's so zombie-like watching that sort of, when you're seeing really clear that it seems to be very, very clear that someone is caught up in their mind. I remember walking up Villiers Street and you know, in Charing Cross, and just seeing all these zombies. You know, that zombie kind of, they're all stuck in their head. There's no space for anything else. They're just stuck in their head.
Yeah.
Reality, everything's, you know, it's just all this life.
It's like the thought is, or thinking is all encompassing. Well, I suppose I can understand. Yeah, thinking is the strongest noise wave in the life, is probably
Yeah,
what you're saying there.
like collapses, and then
Yeah.
weird.
Yes, this open kind of space thing for everything. But do you know? Oh, sorry. I put 50 euros on a pizza oven. I put 50 euros on a 50 euros on a pizza oven to buy,
Right.
and it was up there for 80. You know, in one of these done deal things.
Right.
So I just got a message back. I am not going to look at it now, but that'd be just rude.
Keep something to look forward to.
So looking forward. Yeah. I'm thinking of changing this podcast name from "Can I Be Frank" to Behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain, right?
Behind the
Okay.
curtain, yeah.
Right.
Think that's any good, or does it matter?
Yeah, it'll do. It'll do.
Do. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck right now. Oh,
Who
anyway,
gives a
yeah.
fuck? Yeah. Totally.
Actually, I'm having a bit of a Kundalini crisis at the minute. I've been sleeping like 2 hours a night. It's a killer. Like it's absolute killer. It's awful.
Okay. Go on. Why do you call it a Kundalini crisis? I don't understand that now.
Just because the energy, the light gets so bright, and the energy gets sweeping up my body every night, but only one vision this time. It just seems to be repeated. This golden tunnel. That's it. So it's like an NDE kind of near-death experience. I must be just like, I just really want to die, obviously, but I did. Yeah, as long as I don't get the hell experience when it, death comes. But
And you think so? This is what you're saying. It's like death. It feels like death.
no, it just matches up with near-death experience where people experience the tunnel of light. So it's moving down the tunnel of light, and then can't get any further because you usually get greeted by guardians in the tunnel of light. If you're going to die, apparently. But yeah, so I just get this, get that in the evening sometimes or early morning.
And does that feel real to you? Does that feel like that's real?
As real as anything else. As real as any other experience, I suppose. Yeah, pretty much. Visions are like they're just, just like conversation or yeah. I mean, not that.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
Oh, very lovely. Well, the tunnel stuff is very lovely. It's quite cliched, kind of unconditional love, kind of blasts of that. Very very deep, peaceful experience.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah, that's a bit mad, though. Is it? Is that just happening? You're not trying to obviously make anything like that happen. You're not. Some people can bring that stuff about. I don't know how they do it, but
I think no. It's usually for me. It seems to be initiated by a little bit of fear or something. So something goes really shit in my life, and I just start getting mad experiences. That's kind of. I prefer that. It's better than being in the mind and just worrying. It's just like, visuals and stuff.
Yeah, that's psychedelic. Almost sounds a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just normal. I suppose it's normal at the time, but it's just death, I suppose. Or
what do you think death is?
Well, I've no idea. I mean, there's no sense of life or death here, but so I don't know. But there could be an experience. I mean, the NDE stuff. I don't know. When you talk about hell experience, those kind of dark experiences, that does scare me in a superstitious kind of way, because I've had experiences like that too, and it's like, people who have hell experiences, there's no rhyme or reason for it. It seems from the research anyway.
Yeah, I suppose in a way there's kind of two conversations, but like one is when you were saying there's no sense of life or death here, and then we're talking about a near-death experience. It's kind of interesting the two can coexist.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, and I think it's over because there's no sense of reality to any of this anyway, in a way, and no sense of absolutely no sense of location or anything. So. But nevertheless, there is a narrative that continues, and why couldn't it continue down a tunnel of light? I mean, if that's happening, it's happening, right? So.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But yeah, I'm just scared of the other stuff. Yeah. I Satan scared the shit out of me, so I just.
Satan? Do you think that's interesting though, isn't it? This idea of Satan, because that's definitely a story. Isn't it?
No, because man, there are a lot of Satan. There's a lot of Satans. Like there are, like yes, I know it's a story, but I think there is a satanic element in life. There are certain people who seem to embody that.
Yeah.
I never
That has
thought
to
that
be, that's,
was.
you are that then as well. You have to be, that has to be part of what you are. That's a kind of a question to say that. Does,
Um, what do you mean, as in part of the psyche? I think.
well, I mean, so either there's the story of Satan that we would have grown up with. Then there's there's, then there's ideas of what evil people represent, and we can all agree there's horrible, disgusting, wretched people. That
Yeah.
seems to be, but it, and like the worst kind of people, but and still in a way that's I would say that's a happening. I'm not trying to make peace with that. I suppose I'm trying to make not. I'm trying to get my head around when you say Satan, how that fits in beyond an idea or
Well,
a
it is.
story.
I mean, it is an idea, but and but I think there is, you know, yeah, pretty much it's like a principle, but it's something. I mean, I'm talking about in normal experience. There, yeah, you were talking about certain malevolent people who seem to embody that idea. That I
Yeah,
didn't realize that before my experience to see it, and I always thought that that's everybody has got that within them. Those opposing forces. I'm not so sure. I don't know. Um, it's yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not ultimately not real. I mean,
no, I'm not, yeah, I'm kind of because you had an experience like the NDE where you met as Satan.
that
You,
was after an experience of heaven. I just had, because the light got so bright, and I was suddenly I was in heaven, and then I was back in my bed. The room is still lit. It's just absolutely blazing with light, and then suddenly the light turned into flames, and Satan came waltzing in. Nah, yeah, it was very real. It's just.
and that was like three-dimensional. Is this
Possibly.
three-dimension what we're in? This is it this real? As real as this?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And he was very attractive.
Okay. On the positive, that's number one on the positive side. Let's go to many more on the positive sides.
Well, yeah, the power again. It's like a visual, like visual information, because the power he exuded was beyond anything you could conceive of, but you just knew it, and absolutely feeling absolutely utterly helpless, totally helpless, and totally desiring him. Yeah, because he offered me a ton of power as long as I had a relationship with him. I had to be Satan's girlfriend. That was the condition. So
Yeah.
I turned him down. I managed to turn him down. That was I turned him down.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a cliche. So.
And do you, what do you think of the like? What could it? What could? What's the worst? You see, I suppose then. I mean, there are bad things that can happen. I mean, eternity is a long time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
eternity is a long time. Like, but it's a long time when there's somebody bound by time and space. If am I say, yeah, that eternity is a long time for something, whereas
Yes.
it's not. It's timeless for nothing, for no one.
Yeah.
And what is the question that yeah, what is the worst thing that can be done then to somebody we know that's eternity and it's been road whatever with the I don't know, something horrendous over eternity, forever and ever, and stabbed and hurt and in agony forever, right? That's the worst thing they can do. I mean, there are things worse than death, apparently, in that instance.
Oh,
But
God, yeah.
so I suppose I'm just wondering what can do that to whom? You know, do you know what I mean by that question? Who can Satan do that to? Which is,
Well,
this is a great fucking,
you can't just, you know, it's just experience, isn't it? And experience continues. So, I mean, it's just, as much as I could do that to you, you're not obviously not right. No, like, I mean, why couldn't it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what other, if there are, you know, whatever this is and whatever other unseen. I mean, there's other dimensions as well. Maybe, who knows what this is really? I mean, I've had celestial or otherworldly lovers. I mean, they may be invisible, but I mean, who knows? I don't really know whether they exist or not, but I don't know. But it kind of resonates deeply when you talk about that stuff. I don't know, it's because we have that deep fear, and you know, but it's weird the way that hell experiences are random, though. Like, it'd be nice to think that people who deserve them have them, but there's no, you know, people have one heaven experience and they have individual hell experiences, and none of it's, I mean, there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening. I'm speaking about this, but there's nothing happening at the same time. So,
yeah. See, I think the greatest fear is nothing. Like, at the end of fear, there is nothing. And fear continues, I think, because the worst fear is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is not pleasant. Nothing is a nuclear bomb of everything. So I think that's only just something that occurred to me recently. I think at the end of all fear, the very, very, very end, right in the center, if there is a center, that's a bit weird, is nothing. Now, not an idea of nothing, a nuclear bomb of everything that that eviscerates, and that is the most terrifying thing.
right, okay.
For something facing that nothing. I think at the end of that, because otherwise it's stories looped upon stories, weaved into everything, that this can happen, that can happen, all these things could possibly happen that are the worst possible things you can imagine and the best possible things you can imagine, but right in the heart of all of that is nothing, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, well, you know that one.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true, but that's just a sentence, a couple of sentences.
Your experiences, do you get, have you had the kind of, you know, the love experience as well, the kind of unconditional love and that, you know, like, or well-being experiences or bliss experiences, or
I probably have to reach into the past to tell
right,
you a story about
okay,
something like that, and it would seem like I'm just kind of making up a story that probably did happen. I would say that I have nothing.
right, okay.
But it's not that I even have nothing, or but what is this idea of love and not love and hate and fear? I mean, to me, there's this, and then anything beyond that then is a story. I mean, categorically, anything and everything is beyond a story. And then you could say, well, there's no point saying anything, and that's probably true. There's probably no point talking about anything, and yet do podcasts. So I'd say in reality, there's this, what's happening, And then I almost kind of want to go with everybody. Okay, can we just do a little wink that there's just this, and then I don't mind. We talk about every story under the planet. But
No.
we just agree on that little tiny thing that there's this, and it's unbelievable. You can't fathom it. It's unfathomable, ungraspable, untouchable, unholdable to, and yes, it's absolutely nothing. And
Oh, I get that. I mean, that was the most terrifying thing for me, was when everything disappeared and was still there. Initially, that was terrifying. Just everything gone. You know, it wasn't an experience. It's just gone. And then suddenly seeing emptiness doing everything, emptiness being,
this.
you know, this, the waitress, the food, the, you know, when it happened to me, I didn't happen to me, obviously, but not being able to understand even concepts, language, everything just gone.
Yeah. So I was convinced because it's not like a thought or an idea. This is a sensory sensation that everything is this and this is everything. And so then obviously the separateness dissolves. But to me, that's that's what I was kind of finding a bit shocking, that, okay, so then somebody's saying this is not this. That's fine. But the assumption is that this is this. Do you know what I mean? That this is this, and everything else and I mean this. I think you could say this is this, and maybe just, and then we fucking go and talk about everything and anything under the sun.
Yeah, no,
I don't
true.
care about.
It's true.
Care about it, and I don't care what can be said. But as long as we're agreeing that the baseline is holy fuck, then we can all launch into.
Oh yeah, no, totally. That's it's just what's here. I mean, it's the rest is just mind stuff, isn't it? It's just ideas. It's
What makes for a terrible podcast, but like,
but
that's the truth,
yeah.
though. I mean, that's the truth. To me, it's just, but there's this. And then people would say, okay, well, you're not recognizing the story, or you're not talking about the story. And I go, okay, I am totally happy to talk about all the stories under the sun, as long as we just start off by the wink to go, which is, and then that suggests a total lack of sincerity with the story. But I suppose, and probably only because we had our conversation, I wouldn't even say this is this. You know, I don't think I would ever open my mouth about it. And we'd weave and intertwine in stories, and you know what I mean? But and now it seems like I'm laboring. I'm not laboring anything, but you know what I'm saying, I think, anyway.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, that's it's just the mind stuff, and the mind doesn't function here much anyway. Like, so it's easier to see in a way, because I don't get much thought at all, and lots of periods without it. So it seems even more stark, I think. And there are certain things that, you know, appear to happen that can make it, well, they don't make it seem more real, but you can get some stuff is a bit more sticky, I think.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah.
Dealing with the tax man is sticky.
Oh, that stuff just makes you want to die.
And then you remember you can't die. So.
Oh, well, I don't know. There's something consoling in a kind of contemplation of that, you know.
The tax
I think
that brown envelope, like.
Dealing with that stuff is just hell, isn't it? That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I just repeat death and taxes, death and taxes, death and taxes. Just had to do something with the tax man this week, and it was kind of just going, oh God, fuck's sake.
No,
And you just deal with the
like reality really is. I avoid some. I mean, I don't even have TV. I anything, even like a soap opera or something. Anything reality just freaks me out. You know, too much of the normal. Oh, awful.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask about the Kundalini workshops?
Oh well, just doing stuff on Kundalini and um, well, just talks on that basically.
Um, and how? Yeah, I suppose it's just I'm curious about that and how that happens. How I don't even know what Kundalini is, or how is it just energy, or how
Well,
do you bring it about? Or it doesn't sound like you're bringing it about when those things happen to you.
I don't think you can. I don't think anyone can create the spark, and it's not like having mystical experiences either. I mean, when something starts that, it's like there's some element will just keep on going for you. So I have inner light all the time. So that's only been for the last 2 years. Before that was energy. So with my eyes closed, there's light. With my eyes open in the dark, there's light. And then stuff rises and that. So initially, when I was quite young, when I closed my eyes, there was this like yellow circle, and with blue in the middle. And now when I close my eyes, that circle comes alive and just starts to move. So I'm just drawn in. So I've got this natural meditation device. When I close my eyes now, I'm just like drawn into this endless kind of thing, sort of concentric circles of light and stuff.
That's pretty cool, like. Or is it pretty cool? It sounds like, I mean, going to bed should be a bit of a trip every night with that sort of thing. And when your eyes closed, this.
Yeah, no, I've just got used to it now, I suppose, and yeah, and samadhi states in and out of those all the time. I can't function terribly well in those, like, because they're just if I sit down and do nothing, my consciousness, I go into empty bliss states, I suppose. And I just don't want to come out of those really. But I mean, I can function in them as well, but I prefer to just sit there. So I always sort of thought it's something I can always do. Like if things get too much, I just sit down on the road and just sit there. sit till I die. Or not. It'd be quite nice.
Yeah.
So, it's weird, the brain is obviously capable of, whatever I don't know, these different kind of emotional states. I never used to get that, like bliss or feels very drunk actually. Actually,
Yeah.
alcohol and bliss is very good together.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's a bit of opium, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's quite good. Works.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so then can you like, the way you hear about blockages, that's not the same thing. That's more chakra stuff, is it? That people have trapped things in the body.
Oh, they do talk about blockages. I mean, I don't all that stuff that's written about. I mean, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me. Only if you've experienced something. Like there's like Kundalini supposed to be intelligent, knowing where it needs to go. All this kind of stuff, like opening up blockages in the body. Maybe it does. Who knows? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's as real as a cold, or or I don't know. It's as real as any other bodily thing. When you make love with a supernatural being, it's much better. Yeah.
I hope you're not telling Richard about this. He could get a bit jealous. To be fair, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was beyond jealousy, that one.
Yeah, I suppose you go, fair enough.
You don't care.
Not like, your list, most people's lists are Brad Pitt or whatever, and then it's celestial body. You go, okay, at least it wasn't
No, honey.
Charles up the road or whatever.
They've got it wrong. Like, it should be on the list. Like,
Yeah, that sounds great now, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's yeah.
Sorry, not tonight, Richard. Not tonight. I have a date, so like, yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You see, anything is possible, I suppose. This is the eternity of everything is.
But nothing's really surprising, you know.
No.
In a way, because I remember when I was younger and like something strange happening, to be like, wow, you know, like wow, and God, touch wood, like in a way, I don't know about you, but your experience, but nothing's. It is like anything's possible. Anything could, you know, anything could happen. You know, those experiences where you become the universe, or actually, they're not to be recommended, are they? They're
Not
pretty
really,
bad.
no.
No,
Not.
that's proper
No.
stabilizing. It really is.
Yeah, that's not really. It's not for. It's not for everyone. Who would you recommend it to? You know,
You wouldn't
or nothing, nothing or everything, which is I sense it's the same. It's the same. First of all, it's just words, but it's the same thing. But that it is the energy. It's just fucking unfathomable. But then you see, there you go. That sounds like a story as well. Like that's I'm going somewhere thinking about that. But the energy of this alive thingy majiggy that's happening is unfathomable. It's like a constant. It's not like a constant nuclear explosion. They're just nice words.
But yeah, I think it's really good talking about the story stuff, though. There's this listening to this sort of non-duality stuff. It's almost like the non-duality police, you know, feel like rebelling against it. You know.
Yeah, well, that can be just. You see, then I was actually thinking that the other day, going. So just so we're clear on the non-duality thing here, that's the story too. We have a little wink about the story of non-duality. I'm totally, and then we could talk about non-duality, but that's definitely a story too. Like falling away of me, what precedes everything. I'm fucking clicking my fingers, but this. So non-duality is the story too. It might be a good story. It might flatten the mind, but it is a story.
It's quite a dull story, to be honest, unless you're looking for something from it. Like it really is.
It's not for the mind. It's absolutely there's no fruit in it for the mind at all. But then you kind of get in. You kind of. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the way it's portrayed as something to be sought, as this kind of like to become, you know, all these qualities, compassionate and everything else. It's such a waste of time, like, because I think, you know, people forget. I think, like, if you're a cunt and there's enlightenment, you're just a bigger cunt, and then
an enlightened cunt. That's you know, that's brilliant.
I think it just brings out what's because I think, like, there's some really nice people you'll meet, and you know, I mean, they're just some really nice people. And people are seeking for this thing that makes people, they project all their goodness and everything onto. Actually, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. There are some nice people, and maybe if they, you know, they experience awakening, whatever, maybe they'll be more spacious and have more room in them to be more compassionate or whatever. But I think it just doesn't work that way. I mean, I think it's a real red herring, and forget about it. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
Well, I can totally. You'd never recommend to anybody, oh, you should go to listen to that about non-duality. But then you kind of, I suppose, in a way, like everything, some things catch you and some things don't. I do remember being double, often like just kind of double taken when I heard some words. But I think with non-duality, then when you get hooked by it, you come back, you come so far into it, then that you realize, oh God, I'm just eating dry words here. I can't get out of this now. I can't actually you get so far into the bullshit. It's not bullshit, to be fair, but the mind being seeking something can't get anything with this and still keeps banging and banging and banging and banging and banging and banging, trying to get into the door, gateless gate, or whatever you want to call it. And then that is so, but it is a terrible story. Oh, that's just a terrible story. But they're being sucked in by the mind, can't get its head around that there's nothing to get. There's still, for the mind, has to be something in this. And then they keep going and keep going, and then they get so far into it, they realize, okay, there is nothing in here for me. And then they can't get out. I think that's the lion's mouth, Lark.
Yeah, no, it's huge.
Sort of bullshit, though, too. Yeah.
But do you know what I find really weird? That I always find it almost really strange that people, like so many people, that doesn't happen to. It's like, how can you listen to, non-duality or something for the first time and not be hooked? That always seems to, because obviously you're coming from your own experience, and it's like when I first heard it, I was just like, yeah, it was like head in the tiger's mouth or whatever. It was just,
yeah. You're so used to, you see, you come to it with so many stories, and you are actually made, if you were to picture the visual body, it's like a woven thing that is woven, completed in story, from top to bottom story. And they go into this expecting to weave this story into that story, and that they can get something from this to make their story bigger. And then in their sensory body, they'll have got something from that. But they go in there, and more than likely, the first couple of times they get, depending on the type of person, some people, like, it sounds like you were kind of just totally ready for that. Other people like me kind of go in and go, yeah, but there must be something in here. And I get my finger bitten off the first time. And then maybe I go back and go, what exactly was that? What was going on in that meeting? That, even though there was obviously nothing, but then you see the other side of it is that you're not doing anything. And that's just happening, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Just just the happening. That's just this, which is so boring for the mind. It's so boring. My mind's just going, well, that's just so boring. So boring. But
no, it's not a good one. Is it?
Nothing you can do, like.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a curse, actually. That one, like, I don't know. Yeah.
But even say the falling away, talk like the falling away of me. That is a thing that you would have read and gone, okay, that sounds interesting. I never heard about that before. And it sounds like a thing that can happen, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, and of course, and that's why mystical poetry is so beguiling. When you first read, when you're reading that and you don't know what it means, it's like wow. And then when you kind of know what it's about, you sort of think, you bastard. It's not poetry anymore. It's just, it's so obvious. Why are you writing a poem about this? That's, you're just trying to, I don't know, like, why write a poem about, I don't know, love or hate or whatever, but not this.
Yeah, how can you write a poem about this? Like, I mean, I suppose there's intimations of it. Like, I was looking everywhere, and everywhere reminded me of this, and everything is a reminder in a way. You hear can be a reminder, that the loudest thing in the room is this, and it can be a thing where everything is a reminder. But then when it comes to still, I don't know why I keep saying, but oh, there's this, but then just because it's fun, why wouldn't you then? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you write a poem? Probably because it's fun. Sorry, yeah.
Well, because it's kind of phony. A lot of the poems sort of put into words, or they're only poetry if you don't understand what this is. I don't know. They're not usually written from this. I think that's what it is. I mean, a lot of the mystical poetry doesn't seem to be written from this. It's written from the ego to ego or whatever. I don't know. It's mind to mind stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that wine's in me. I'm not articulating very well.
You're in a perfect place then. This is the place to be. This is definitely the place to be, I think. Yeah, I'm on these. I'm after a guzzling that. 5.8%.
Right. Okay. Well, mine's pretty standard. 5.8. That's quite strong for beer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right.
It's tasty though. It's tasty and it's good for me. There's new studies coming out, I think, someday soon. The 2 beers is a lovely amount.
Two beers. If you could just keep that 2 beer feel, probably.
2 beers, you kind of get that's the best part is the 2 beers. Then you probably don't need more, but I always do have more, so I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. You have to. It's the process, isn't it? It's just. It's just what happens. Yeah. Happened when you were down here. I'm quite naughty. I don't normally drink red wine, but yeah.
I think it's fine. I don't know. What were we saying? Something amazing.
So what's your experience like now then for you? I mean, are you quite, is everything quite good, okay? What's yours?
Well, I think there's just what's happening. And so at the moment, I feel nice from the beers, and I'm enjoying chatting to you, and that's it. It's kind of very nice.
Okay.
I think it just depends. I mean, the only thing that I could say is there's an openness to what is happening that actually was always there. I think this was happened 20 years ago, which might sound ridiculous. I think this happened 20 years ago. I think it was seen 20 years ago. And I think I find it very hard to believe that but I think now on reflection, I think this was, which now sounds absolutely, if I'm saying it after doing podcasts and movies and all that type of thing, but I think it was seen 20 years ago.
Did you, if it was seen 20 years ago, did you find it very difficult to own then, or to kind of like,
you see, I think that everywhere I went, I was so used to stories, and then I thought, okay, when I hear about stories of dropping away of a me, I think, okay, so there is a me that has to drop away.
Right, okay, right.
So, but it's probably should have heard, but there's this, but I don't know, I can't really say what but that's the sense I had, that this is always known, and maybe it was seen 20 years ago, but it's always only ever been this. Right. But I actually think it could have been 20 years ago, but then I can't be, I'm only actually saying that out loud now, so I don't know if that's definitely true. Is that possible? Anything is possible. But it's definitely seen 20 years ago that no thing was seen, because now it just feels, maybe it's admitting it now, and that this idea that there's this which is fucking nothing. And that could be terrifying. And it also includes everything. And everything else is a story. But everybody else seems to just talk so well and articulately and
that's it. Yeah.
Fantastically, and to talk about liberation and fucking wonder and bliss. And I go, oh, right, okay, so it's not this then.
No, I think the mind can doubt it, and yet the experience is, because it's viscerally different, because there is no, well, for me, there's no sense of body or here, actually. But yet the mind can still doubt what you know. What are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? I mean,
the man is definitely still doubting.
Yeah, that's just what it does. I mean, it's got nothing better to do. And then sometimes it's just not there, and it's just, yeah. When it's, but even if it is doubting, the experience is still almost like empty space.
Yeah.
It's just
doubt. It's just thoughts of doubt. Because
yeah,
I distinctly, it's only maybe somehow that I remember 20 years ago walking around going, I'm not here. How is this possible? I'm not here. Do they? They can see I'm not here. I better. I'm not. I found that terrifying.
right. Okay.
And I kind of slowly but surely maybe just adapted that is how, I don't know. I mean, this could be absolute horse manure. That's just a sense I have at the moment that it, that's how it feels, that this happened 20 years ago, but it's only in, I don't know, recent times. Go on, sorry.
Before I, had the experience, but everything fall away, nothing and everything. I remember becoming aware of or just there's no one here. That was the sort of thinking. I thought I'm going mad. I'm mental. I'm schizophrenic, or like I'm just gone psychotic or something. And before the kind of, when everything disappeared and there were just everything, which was connected as well, because it was just unconditional love as well. So after that, I found it very hard to understand what my problem was with there's nothing here, because it started before that. There seemed to be a story of breaking down, like walking around, going for a walk and hearing my thoughts, and what the fuck is that? That's not me. What is it? It's mad. Just sort of like starting to realize it. It just seemed to be falling bit by bit, falling apart before that. But of course, it's not really falling apart. I mean, that's how it seems anyway. But
yeah, that's interesting, because then in the end, it kind of is. It's not like it's always known. It's just that all the knowings are wrong. They're not correct. It's just stories. I mean, I don't know. It's unbelievable too, I suppose. Maybe, yeah, it is actually unbelievable. Every single thing. And then maybe that's, it's not it's an awakening to no awakening.
Yep. Yeah, I guess it's undramatic. I think it levels the experience after that as well, because there's that sort of, I don't know, nothing has the impact it used to have as well. Like there is a real before and after in the story of time with that, because it's not like the bright lights of a vision or an ecstatic experience. It's actually just, it just takes away everything. It is proper death. It's just death. Like
yeah, it's death, except death is laden with all these ideas that we have of what death is, and yet we're so, whatever this thing is that lives in time is constantly putting down the map or the flag to say this is who I am, but constantly, no matter what it's greeted with, what experience, it'll, even if it's brand new, and say it's a terrifying experience, then that's the new landmark of what is, and that's held on to somehow as being the real story in time and in space. That is who I am now, and that can. I think it's somehow that's just that happening. It's like kind of all roads lead, all paths, all stories, all dimensions, all everything lead to this. No, I don't know if that's true. That's just my sense of all leads to this. And it's not exactly what?
Because I could just hear the church bells ring. So I'm expecting Richard to walk through the door any minute. That's all right. Sorry. So, the side.
He's giving mass this evening, is he? Yeah. All roads lead to this. Everything leads to this. But it's interesting when you. Sorry, we were just talking about death. Like, it's just death is obviously this body and brain will be gone. That's not an exciting thing. For some people, that's not exciting. It's but you know, it's just this. We have so many stories about death and where it goes, what happens, and ownership. And because we've been laying flags down our entire lives, then when you see or it's seen or whatever, that all the things that you have attained and gained and held on to and all the blah 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 things are
not a lot of those.
what in the end what dies, like, you know.
Right.
You're dying into everything.
It doesn't seem particularly sad at the minute of the idea. Yeah, no. Yeah, the Dawn story or it's not a bad thing, is it? The
stories are what's not a bad thing? Death.
Oh well, it is a nice idea. I think I remember thinking recently, because obviously you still get times where you're really, really, like shit times, and sort of thinking of death and thinking of it. I mean, feeling quite consoling, even, just the thought of that is a comforting thought.
That it can't go on, that life this can't go on.
Yeah, that's kind of sometimes, not always, because mostly I think this is quite sweet, mostly, but sometimes it's really kind of horrible.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, I was watching Mindhunter, Netflix, a show. I don't know if you've watched it.
No.
Anyway, it's about serial killers, and there's a part at the. It's most unpleasant. Like, it's not even most unpleasant. It's horrible on an epic level, and it's kind of like that's everything. Being a serial killer, or the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst you can imagine, and beyond. And, some people might say, okay, well, that's just a me, but that's separateness happening. But sorry, that's everything being that. And so then where do you go with what you are is nothing and everything, and that it includes that.
No, it's a difficult one, and I don't think.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to be other everythings. You mightn't make too many friends, let's just say.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, there's probably a lot of those who are spiritual teachers. I mean, they're the ones that find it quite easy to talk about this stuff, aren't they? So, well, not serial killers. I think I only dated one of those. I don't know if he was a serial killer, but
Sorry, did you say you dated a serial killer?
Well, I think he had potential.
Okay.
I don't know. I think, yeah. I mean, those types, yeah, psychopathic, yeah, definitely. There's, most quite a lot of spiritual teachers are that. I think it's a natural vocation. I think once this has been seen, it's a natural thing to do. It's just another powerful role, isn't it? So see, obviously it's career choice. And they're probably make the best teachers as well. So, you know.
Yeah, it's almost that like, okay, so then the role is not playing a role. Or I remember like, see, the moment anybody opens their mouth about this, and instantly it appears, because we operate in the person operates in beginnings and ends. So when somebody says something, it sounds like that has come from somewhere. It has to be from there. It has to be there because everything has a beginning. And so then that comes from you knowing something, not just happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, what am I saying?
I don't know. Yeah.
Is that Richard?
What's her? Yeah, did you
I
hear?
heard the door there.
Oh no!
Look at this.
Fogging up.
Yeah.
I know wine. Hold on. Quick.
I'm going to get a beer.
Really?
I'm entitled to 2. What time is it? How are you for time?
All right. We're supposed to be going out in about, what time's it now?
Okay. But I don't want to stop that, like.
No.
I'll get in the way of that. Where are you going? Are you going to that Indian, are you?
No. We didn't have time to get to the Indian because we'd have done that first.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to the Mount Edgecombe, it's called. It's a little hotel bar. It's got a little cage you can sit in. Very nice.
Okay, lovely. That sounds like a bit of crack. Yeah.
What about you?
What am I doing? Well, I'll probably go downstairs after this.
All right, okay.
Given you're leaving the bar.
All right, downstairs. So that's private space. Then you're just this
up here.
Huh?
That's the double doors there, and that's my studio where I do the interviews.
Oh, that's really nice, actually.
It's kind of cool, yeah. And it's on the 3rd floor, so that's looking out onto the street out there.
Oh, cool.
And
that's your hand.
That's my hand. It's amazing. And that's me again now appearing. There you go now. So, which we've done an hour. Maybe I'll get you again sometime.
Well, could do, yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely.
That's fine. No. You're talking, what?
It's a shame we couldn't do it in person. I know you, because I've never done anything on screen before.
Yeah, it's a bit
weird.
Part of me was half thinking that I obviously I haven't done anything since Richard, and
right.
I thought, well, it's kind of nicer to now you could just capture the one, but you get a kind of a better feel for the conversation when it's 2 people together talking. Do you? I think you do.
Well,
it's nicer for the 2 people anyway. It's better.
Well, I think. Oh, and I don't know. I mean, I've no idea what this is like. It's probably.
It's probably amazing. It's probably amazing.
But it's just so much more. I don't know. Maybe you get used to doing this because it seems so. Are we still on? Are we?
Yeah, we're still on. Yeah. Go for it, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just because I just really fancied meeting up and doing it.
Yeah.
But probably it'll go wrong because we drink too much.
I think that's brilliant, though. That's much better. Yeah, we have to figure that out. I think it's kind of, should we see what happens? Like, I think it is more it's more fun, isn't it? And it's doing it this way. I mean, I've done a good few this way, and see, I've met you, so that at least. But I think it's nicer. Definitely, the energy of meeting is just a bit cooler, a bit more. It's a bit more something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's that there is something about, but yeah, it's still not because you come across, you know, like obviously your voice and everything, you know, it's really nice to connect, but it's not as, I don't know. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's a kind of, you know, be nicer if you could just sort of pull you over.
Yeah, there's more of a fuzz about it, definitely. I think I will. I mean, see, I've got 70. If I leave it any few weeks, people drop off on Patreon, I've noticed, but I don't really care. But if I could build up a subscriber base, I would definitely do way more, or I'd go to places. Then it could be a thing I could do, but you know yourself, it's just difficult. It's the internet. So I might do that. I was thinking of going over to Tim Kliss. I don't know if you know Tim, but we've done it.
Yeah, no.
Tim seems really sound. Well, we've met, or we've had a couple of these, and we get on great. And then it's just a recent thing that I've that feeling that it's just more crack, more interesting. Well, it's more interesting for me anyway, meeting the person. It's just a bit more fucking fun.
No,
chatting.
yeah, I get that. But yeah, definitely.
But you see, once you put the camera in the mix, when you put the camera in the mix, it's always a little bit. That's why sometimes I kind of go, almost, it's in the second hour. You kind of, it's like, say there, you were kind of, sometimes I kind of go, I hang up with people, or I press the stop on the record button. And I've noticed we'll chat for another 20 minutes, and that chat is better because that little kind of niggly sort of a thing that is the fact that this is on camera or whatever, I think disappears a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, no, I can see that totally. I mean, yeah, but I mean, this is the first time I've done anything.
A podcast, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Thanks a million for doing it. Seriously, fucking amazing.
It was such good crack that evening. Like it really
yeah, it was a lovely evening. Now, in fairness, yeah.
I thought, like, at first, I thought, oh no.
Oh, go on. Thanks. No, I love your honesty. Go on. What do you think? Yeah, go on. You said, who the fuck is this lad? Is this? Let's just say you said that. I actually don't know what to know.
I thought it would work. Like I thought. Yeah, it didn't.
What did you think? What did you think, sir?
Well, you know, when I didn't know you, I just thought maybe it'd be like work, you know, like out for dinner. And oh no, like, yeah. But it wasn't like that at all. It was great fun.
No, it was, yeah. I didn't know you from fucking Adam. That's what you're saying.
I like a computer as well, like, but oh well, you had all day, didn't you? So you were talking all day.
We were chatting all day. It's good old chat now, in fairness. I think when we were doing let's just say we were doing non-duality chat, kind of felt like it was way more free fall when we weren't. There wasn't a kind of, okay, well, let's turn on the camera so we can get some stuff here, you know. Right. How's he doing anyway?
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's
he's waiting for you to finish up. Okay, well, tell him I was asking for him.
I will do.
And I said hello, and we'd see what happens. We try and figure it out. I'll send it on to you anyway.
All right.
This, but we'll see, can we figure out something in the future and see what happens?
Yeah, I'd like that. If you don't, you have to hang out again.
Yeah, just have to figure that out, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Nice one. Enjoy your few drinks this evening, living the dream.
All right, cheers. All right.
Bye. I'm going to press the stop record button.
If you like the conversation that I just had and you'd like more, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.